Hi, everyone. I think we're gonna jump right in and get started. Thank you so much for joining us for this Cal Week information session for the molecular environmental biology session. My name is Jenny Miner. My pronouns are she or they, and I am the academic advisor for the environmental sciences major here at Rausser College. I'll be serving as moderator for this session. And also assisting with moderating this session is our intake coordinator, Craig Crossley. Craig, I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Jenny. Yeah, folks are still rolling in, but welcome. My name is Craig Crossley. I go he, him pronouns. I'm the intake advisor for Rausser College's undergrad advising office. I wear several hats, which include kind of general advising, connecting you with your major advisor, communicating college policies and deadlines, social media, the website, working with our peer advisors, which you'll meet today, as well as our work study students, virtual bulletin board, kind of maintaining lists of internships and all sorts of fun things and opportunities to come your way. So you'll be seeing a lot of me, I reckon, in your time here at Berkeley. But yeah, pleasure to meet you, and excited for you guys to learn more about this major.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for being here. So before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to uplift the land acknowledgement created by the UC Berkeley Native American Student Development and the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. So the land acknowledgement is, we would like to recognize that UC Berkeley sits on the territory of Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868. Consistent with our values of community, inclusion, and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. As members of the Berkeley community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we stand, but also we recognize that the Muwekma Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader Bay Area communities today. And Craig just dropped in the chat a link to learn more about that land acknowledgement, specifically the one created by Native American Student Development, which is the office here on campus that serves the Native American student population. And also a starting place for learning more about the Indigenous communities that may be in your home area. So kind of coming back to MEB major session, to start off, I'm going to kind of briefly outline today's information session before introducing our panelists. And as you may have noticed, you can see us, but we cannot see or hear you, although we look forward to seeing and hearing you soon. If you have questions, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we'll do our best to get to them during this session. We'll start off with 3 initial questions for our panelists just to get things rolling. And after those questions, we'll start answering the questions that are coming in through the Q&A. We are recording this session and chat log, and we'll be posting this later in the next week or so. Lastly, at the end of the session, we will post contact information in the chat window just in case we miss a question or you come up with a question you would like to ask afterwards. So after, we've gotten that out of the way, and I would like to just welcome you once again to the Cal Week information session for molecular environmental biology, or MEB for short. And for those of you who are new admits, which I assume many of you are, just want to say congratulations on your admission to Berkeley. And we hope that this session is helpful for you and that we'll see you in Berkeley in the fall. So today we have 4 panelists to talk about the MEB major. And first I'd like to introduce or invite Leleña Avila, our academic advisor for the MEB major, to introduce herself.
Hi, yeah, my name is Leleña Avila. I use she, her pronouns. And I have been a Rausser College advisor for the MEB major for about 2.5 years. But I've been a staff member at Cal for about 12.5 years, working in education management and advising. I'm a Cal and Rausser College alum with a BS in Conservation and Resource Studies, and I've also earned a master's and PhD in biology, where I had the opportunity to study ecology, evolution, and behavior of snakes, one of my favorite organisms. I love to craft and to take walks with my husband and 2 dogs, and I love helping students as they navigate their academic and personal journeys here at Cal and in Rausser College.
Awesome, thank you so much. Next, we have 3 of our peer advising leaders, or PALs, as they're known here around the office, Isaac, Kelsey, and Tina. Isaac, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Issac Aguilar. I use he, him pronouns. I am currently a junior studying molecular environmental biology. I'm also double majoring in ecosystem management and forestry and pursuing a minor in GIS. I've really enjoyed the CNR community here at Berkeley. I've been involved in various student organizations, including online publications like the Leaflet, or other student orgs such as the Students of Color Environmental Collective that focus on environmental justice and applications in environmental science and related fields as well. And I'm just really excited to be here with you all today to answer your questions.
Awesome, we're excited to have you. Thanks for being here. Kelsey, would you like to take it away?
Yes. So hi everyone, I'm Kelsie Guevara. My pronouns are she, hers. My major is MEB, and I, like my fellow Tina and Isaac, I am a PAL, and I have been I'm a transfer student also, so that's always super fun. But yeah.
Wonderful. Tina?
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, everyone. I'm Tina. I use the She series. I'm studying MEB, Math, and Psych, and part of PALS, and I'm also in the Math Undergraduate Student Association, as well as doing undergraduate research, and also the Student Environmental Resource Center, or SERC.
Awesome. Thank you, all 3 of you, for being here. So good to have you. And y'all sound busy. So we're going to start off with a couple questions. I'm going to just kind of read them all out now, so the panelists and our audience members can kind of start thinking about them. So first, question number 1, Leleña, can you describe to us what is the MEB major and what are the course requirements? Question number 2, for our PALs, what is it like to be a student in the MEB major? What has been your favorite class or experience as an MEB major? And third question, also for our PALs, what profession do you hope to have after graduating? And for Leleña, what are some careers that alumni have pursued? So we'll start off with those questions, and as you're listening, if you have more questions that are popping up, I invite you to submit them in the Q&A feature on the bottom bar of your Zoom screen. So we will circle back to the first question. So Leleña, could you describe to us what is the MEB major and what are the course requirements?
Yeah, so the molecular environmental biology, or MEB major, focuses on organisms and the hierarchy of life, from small things to big things. So at the molecular, cell, genetic level, all the way through organisms and ecosystems and communities. The breadth of the biological science major, this program provides really important holistic perspective for students who have a passion for biology and who are interested in the application of the biological principles to understand how organisms function in their environment. Students in the major are able to choose one of 6 areas of concentration: animal health and behavior, biodiversity, ecology, environment and human health, global change biology, or insect biology and arthropod science. Students are generally attracted to this major due to the breadth of biological knowledge they receive, the study of biology in the context of the environmental sciences and issues, and the flexibility to choose courses within the core and concentration areas. In addition, the MEB major fulfills most of the requirements for medical, veterinary, and other health science professional schools, And it also prepares students for graduate school in a number of scientific biological fields. Let's see here. If you want to work after graduation, you'll find that the scientific training you gain in laboratory courses and research, as well as the challenging courses, will be invaluable to your resume. The major requirements are as follows, and this is trying to give a really brief overview. But in your first 2 years, you're completing 2 semesters of English, 2 semesters of SBM core, lower division requirements, 2 semesters of humanities breadth, 2 semesters of math, a semester of general chemistry with lab, 2 semesters of organic chemistry with lab, 2 semesters of biology of lab, and a semester of physics with lab. In the upper division or junior senior level coursework, students select from a list of courses. Students will complete 2 courses in area A, which is concentrating on genetics, molecular, cell, or developmental biology. 2 courses in core area B, which is organismal biology, physiology, or ecology. 12 units in their chosen area of concentration. And that usually is 3 or 4 classes. And then 2 upper division laboratories, which is something that can actually overlap with some of the other requirements. Alternatively, students may complete research to fulfill one of their lab courses, and students may apply up to 4 units of research towards any area of concentration.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Leleña. And I'll pop the MEB major snapshot into the chat as well, so folks can get a visual of that overview to go along with your fabulous intro. So next question for the pals: what is it like to be a student in the MEB major? And what has been your favorite class or experience as an MEB major?
I could start with this question. So I really enjoy the CNR community at Berkeley. Being an MEB major really exposes you to a lot of great classes, especially I'm especially interested in field courses. So getting that outdoor hands-on experience is something that I've always been really attracted to. And the MEB major provides a lot of opportunities to do so. Although right now it is a little bit different with the remote learning environment, but a lot of the courses that I have taken have been trying to integrate that as well into the classes. So there are still opportunities to continue to get experience in field biology. And similarly, one of my favorite experiences was in the Bio 1B field lab, which is the lower division biology class that you take. And there's an extra little lab component that you can add on where you can create and develop your own research project. So I got to go outside to Bodega Bay, and I looked at the intertidal ecology. So I was excavating the mussel beds, looking at crabs, picking up a bunch of different little critters that were running around. And it was just really one of my favorite experiences at Berkeley yet, just really being able to be outside and study the ecology of the region there.
I can go next. So being a MEB student, I feel, well, as a transfer student, I've gotten to take a lot of the upper division courses during my time here, which has been really nice. And there's such a wide variety of classes that you could take, like classes that can be either super specific, but in something that you really like, or something that's more broad and you just want to learn a little bit more about, that's not something that you normally would have taken or you've even knew you could take. So I really have appreciated that. And actually earlier I was gassing up Leleña because I was like, when you go to her and as your advisor, for her to just ask how are you is one of those, it's the little things that counts. So being able to come in and talk to her and get all of the information from her and all the other advisors and people that are in CNR, having that smaller community and experience is really, really nice, and something that I really looked forward to and was a big thing. And for one of my major, or one of the classes that I liked the most, well, I have 2. So it's intro to comparative virology it sounds like it would be super complicated, but it's so interesting. And I want to do medical field stuff. So I also really liked IB 140, which is human reproduction. So those have been like my two favorite classes that I've taken.
And echoing from what Kelsey and Isaac was saying, I love the MEB major because it's so flexible. I feel like I can take ecology courses, but also take molecular biology courses. And also we have the best advisor, Leleña. She's the sweetest. And yeah, and she just like remembers everything about you. Like I told her something like before even coming to Berkeley and she remembered it, and it's just very nice and shows the small community at CNR. And my favorite class has been Psych 110 with Professor Davina Chan. It's bio-psych, and it's one of the area of concentration courses for the environment and human health cluster. I like it because it combines like bio and then psychology and how like bio works in terms of like minds and behaviors. And I think that's awesome. And an experience is the Maria program. I just got in, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'll be going next semester.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Great to hear about your experiences. Just want to take a moment and remind the audience about the Q&A feature on the bottom of your Zoom screen. We encourage you to ask questions that might be coming up. Anything that you're curious about, can be specific about major requirements, more general about the student experience. Yeah, keep those questions rolling in. And then we're going to go to our third question. First, I'm going to pose this one to the pals. What profession do you hope to have after graduating, or just kind of more generally, like any ideas and thoughts about kind of your next steps after graduation?
I'll start off. So like I said, I'm really interested in field biology, really trying to spend as much time outside as possible. I'm really interested in positions as a wildlife biologist, wildlife technician, or other similar positions where I can just really like be outside collecting data, observing animals and wildlife. I'm really interested in getting experience in a diverse set of regions. So I'm especially interested in starting out getting like seasonal positions, just like kind of traveling, getting to see different wildlife and plants in a bunch of different areas is what I'm really excited and looking forward to after graduating. I'm also really interested in outdoor environmental education. I've worked at various summer camps between summers where I've been able to introduce kids to local wildlife and plants. And I just think outdoor environmental education is something that's really important. And being able to integrate that into education more is something that I think has a lot of potential to really provide benefit for environmental awareness. And yeah, so just really excited to spend as much time as possible outside is what I'm really looking forward to in a profession after graduating.
And so for me, like having IB 140 being one of those classes that I really liked, I want to do physician assistant, which is a master's program after graduation. And I'm actually going to I'm applying now, so I'm doing 1 year off, which is nice. So yeah, just like being in the medical field, being a physician assistant, which isn't super common, I guess, on the West Coast, or it's up and coming, but it's being semi-autonomous, like, or you're working in tandem with a physician and you get to see your own patients, you get to assess them. They can do a wide variety of like departments, like the emergency, urgent care, primary, surgery. Might most of the time see them, I think, on the West Coast in orthopedics, which is really cool. So yeah, that's what I want to do.
For me, I'm super interested in graduate school, specifically pursuing a PhD program in molecular biology or computational biology. After that, I don't know. I'll see where that takes me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Leleña, could you tell us about what are some careers that alumni have pursued after graduation?
Yeah, I think that, we're really lucky here kind of in this panel to see kind of such a broad range of careers and tracks that students want to enter after they graduate with this major. But some specific jobs and employers that students have gone to have worked with as an analyst at East Bay Regional Parks. Students have gone on to do community health fellowships, field technician, lab assistants, other kind of health tech fields, research assistants, research associates. But really this is a broad biology major and can be applicable to so many different fields. I think, people think about the biological science fields and the research and the graduate school. We definitely get a lot of pre-med, pre-vet, other pre-health students in this field. But there's also, you can also go into fields like consulting or environmental and science education, or even non-technical work in writing and illustration and photography. So this is really very applicable. I have some students that have talked to me that says, I'm doing I'm doing my major in molecular environmental biology, but I'm interested in taking this to then law school to do like environmental law. So really a broad range of topics. One of the things that our Career Center offers is they have collected some data over the years called our First Destination Survey, and we'll post this link in chat. But on this survey, you can actually look to see where some of our alumni have gone off to right after college. And so in this survey, there's a little blue box and you can filter by college or you can filter by major, and you can kind of see some specific places that people have gone. It's still a relatively new survey. They started collecting in 2018. And it's reliant on students who graduate responding to the survey. But I think that's a great place to kind of look at not only the MEB majors, but for all of the majors in the college.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're going to start taking questions from the audience now. Our first question is about kind of transfer credit. So they say, I'm an incoming freshman committed to Cal. Welcome, yay, congrats. And would taking community college classes that fulfill some of the MEB course requirements over the summer help me when coming to Cal?
I can jump in. So taking courses over the summer at the community college, yeah, that could help. I think one of the resource that you're really going to want to look at is called assist.org to make sure that the courses that you are taking are transferable and applicable to the major. That is going to be your key resource. Sometimes there are several math courses or calculus courses, but you want to make sure you take the one that actually is equivalent to the course at UC Berkeley. I think the other part of that is to ensure that that they're individual courses, or when sometimes you can see articulations that are series. So you have to take all of the courses to equal like the one course at Berkeley. If you're not sure, drop an email to the meb.ugrad@berkeley.edu. We're going to have some resources we're going to post at the end of this session. If you want to be absolutely sure that you're taking a course that is something that articulates to the courses here at Cal, I'm happy to kind of take a quick look to make sure that you're on the right track and you don't end up taking a class that you don't want to take. It's also totally fine to just take like a breadth class or even just classes that are fun. If you haven't taken a class, a college level class, sometimes just taking a class at the community college just to see what it's like to be in a college level class can be really beneficial as well. And oftentimes, as long as it's a UC transferable class, the units will count towards the 120 units total you need to graduate. So yeah, you can definitely make progress on your major during the summer.
Awesome, great. So next question is, kind of specific, do the AP Environmental Science and AP Calc BC exam get you credit or get you out of some classes? And I think Tina might have an answer. I'm going to invite you to speak on that, and we'll also post a link in the chat that has some additional information about AP credits and stuff like that.
Thank you. Yeah, so I took APES and AP Calc BC, and that got me out of the math lower div courses, so Math 1A and Math 1B. And then APES gets you out of the ESPM science core that we have.
Wonderful, thank you. Here's kind of a more general question. Is it possible to gain pre-med related research experience as an MEB major?
So I think for the pre-med, like, I guess it's like how specific you want to look at things, but there are definitely research opportunities through SPUR and URAP that you can do that can be semi-health related. I know one of the other pals is doing something where they're looking at an index and they're updating it and then getting that published. There's also classes that I would look at for like that are more pre-health related for the decals. And so depending on what it is that you're interested in and what type of involvement you want to have, there's things where you can go to schools like elementary school, middle school, and teach them science and teach them other little courses. And there's also these decals that say it's like intro to surgery, or, you know, in like an intro class to anatomy, and you get to see all these other health professions come into the class and give a presentation, give their spiel on what it is that their department does or what their profession does. And the decals aren't necessarily for a grade. You do them pass, no pass. And so you can get some healthcare related information through there if that's what like you're looking for.
Great. Thank you, Kelsey. So we have two questions here about kind of changing majors and changing colleges. One question about someone who was admitted to environmental sciences, but is interested in changing within Rausser College to MEB, and also an incoming freshman who would like to change into the major from the College of Letters and Sciences. So maybe Leleña, if you could speak a little bit about the process of changing into MEB from Rausser College and then also from LNS.
Yeah, if you're already in Rausser College, one of the things we'll be doing is going through what's called Golden Bear advising over the summer. And through that process, you can communicate to your advisor that changing majors is something you would like to do. It's fairly easy to do if you're in Rausser College and are wanting to stay in Rausser College to change majors. If you are in another college, for example, the College of Letters and Sciences in this example, you would need to wait at least a semester at Cal before you can petition to change college and major. On our website, we have some information about what is required to declare a major in our college and change colleges. Those criteria to change college is that you'll need at least a 3.0 GPA at Cal. And then you need to meet whatever the prerequisites are for that particular major to change into. So there is, we have a nice chart and it outlines the courses that are required. Those courses need to be completed. Usually it'll take, a year or two for you to complete the prerequisite coursework before you would be able to make that change. But basically, if you are planning on making that change, you kind of treat yourself as an MEB major. You start using the 4-year plans that we have, you take the coursework, and then once you actually have completed the coursework necessary and have the GPA, then you would submit the petition. And you could work with me. If I am your advisor, I advise for last names that start with A through N, or you'd work with Anna, our other MEB advisor, who advises for students with last name O through Z on creating a program plan for the major to submit as part of your petition to change college and major.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and check out Craig is also posting some links with additional information in the Q&A section and in the chat. So ways to learn more details about that. We got a couple questions for the PALs, which is awesome. First one, I heard that Cal has grade deflation, especially for STEM majors in lower division classes. How accurate is this information? And I would add, like, what was y'all's approach in with, you know, kind of getting through the lower division STEM requirements?
I could start off. So for the most part, in CNR, I have not experienced too many classes that have had grade deflation. There is definitely that. We get this question every year about grade deflation, and it's especially in CNR. It's not as bad as people imagine it to be. A lot of the courses are graded like very fairly. If anything, a lot of them are curved to adjust students' grades so that they can end up being like curved even a little higher in order to provide like an accurate representation of how the course material was taught. So a lot of the courses that you will take, especially specifically in CNR, aren't going to be curved down or anything like that. I have not taken a single class that has done that before. What some classes and in other departments do have like certain policies for how grades are given out and like the grading distributions, but you likely won't take many of those courses. So for the most part, you won't experience too much grade deflation as a student in CNR. Don't worry about that for sure.
Adding on to that, I think a lot of the courses, for example, like Chem 3A or Chem 3B or Bio 1A, what my experience was that it was graded in bins. So you're not competing with your classmates. And in fact, the professors encourage collaboration. So you just have to get a certain like points, like 300 points is an A, for instance. And they always like move it down a little bit depending on how easy or hard the tests are, but they never like move up the bins. If that makes sense.
Great, thank you. I think that's helpful. So we have one question here for the PALs. How difficult or easy is it to get an internship in Berkeley and for this major in particular? And I think just kind of expanding that question out a little bit of, you know, how easy or hard it was to find other things to be involved in on campus, and how did you go about finding those kind of extracurricular activities?
So in Berkeley, there's definitely a lot of opportunities to get involved in research. There's a sponsored project for undergraduate research, which provides a list of open positions for specifically students in CNR. And there's also URAP, which is in LNS, but it's open to all students in Berkeley. So you can find a lot more positions across different departments. And although some positions can be selective depending on how many students apply, it always varies from year to year. But because there are so many positions, you have as long as like you continue to apply and find experience in other ways, such as class projects, there's always a lot of opportunity to secure one of those positions eventually. I didn't start participating in a research project until the spring semester of my sophomore year. So a lot of like my time freshman year and early sophomore year, I was just kind of focusing on my classes, adjusting to life at Berkeley. And then after taking the field lab that I talked about, I decided to get more involved in research. And that's when I started looking into the SPUR projects. So everyone has their own path and their own way of getting involved in research. And if that's something that you're not interested in, that's not something that you have to do. It's just an opportunity to get more involved in all of the opportunities that are available at Berkeley.
Craig also manages the USC&R emailing list, and they also include lots and lots of information about internships, research opportunities, job positions. I also know, like for MEB newsletters, we have a couple positions too. So, it's really easy, and you can talk to advisors and talk to Career Center. So they have a lot of resources.
Thank you for the shout out. It's a huge part of my world. But yes, so we curate a specific email that goes out every Monday to say, hey, here's the new things we've heard about this week. Here's what we've added to the virtual bulletin board for you all. And this bulletin board is this kind of live, ever updating, beautiful document that COVID has actually kind of encouraged us to take on, which has just been wonderful. But it has everything from student org happenings to internships and job opportunities to just events happening in the Bay that may be relevant to Rausser College majors, as well as the specific events that we're putting on as a college or deadlines that we have as a college. So I highly encourage it. You can use it from your phone, you can use it from your computer. I think it's been a wonderful kind of evolution of how we've adjusted to the times as an advising office. But yeah, I get, a dozen emails a week in terms of like internships to share and things like that. So yeah, so it's a great opportunity, and yeah, thank you for the shout out.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be posting the Padlet virtual bulletin board link so y'all can check it out. All right, so we have a couple questions here about double majoring or doing simultaneous degrees. I'm curious, maybe Leleña could talk a little bit about this and maybe the pals about their experience. So how do double majors and minors work? Can I only choose my majors and minors from Rausser College?
Yeah, so you can choose majors from across campus. So doing 2 majors within the college is called double majoring, and doing 2 majors in different colleges is called simultaneous degree. Tina, I know, and Isaac can speak to this. It's definitely possible. There are some capped majors out there, so not all majors are necessarily on the table, or it may be tougher to get into some majors as adding your second major than others. But a lot of majors on campus generally are, if you meet the prerequisite requirements to add the major and you can complete it within the rules of the college, then you're able to add that major. There are some differences and intricacies across colleges. For example, Rausser College, we limit the number of semesters students have. Letters and sciences have maximums on the number of units that are there. So if you are majoring in a couple majors across the colleges, then you're kind of navigating those administrative issues, and we help you with that. Yeah, and minors as well. Minors are open across the colleges as well. Far fewer kind of restrictions. It's generally they're usually around 5 classes. And, if you are able to complete those 5 classes, then you have a minor. So, I really invite people to explore the different minors. Guide.berkeley.edu allows you to explore all the majors and minors across campus. I think some of the most successful kind of multiple majors across campus are ones that really either allow you to combine a couple of majors to create kind of your own almost interdisciplinary degree with what you've chosen. Oftentimes, I tell students, don't feel like you need to force a second major. If that is really where your passion is, that's wonderful. But I think that many students feel like they have to have another major. And then you just feel like you're taking all of these courses and then you're not leaving yourself the opportunity to do a lot of other things like internships and research and whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So, careful planning, but if that is something where your passion is, that's wonderful. I've seen students double major or simultaneous degree in things like MEB and art practice. So they can be very varied, and I like how those can be very diverse to explore all of your interests. And I'll turn it over to Isaac and Tina to talk about their experiences.
Yeah, so I recently added the MEB major last semester to ecosystem management and forestry. So in ecosystem management and forestry is a very just interdisciplinary major that I enjoyed the broad range and the emphasis on field courses. But I really wanted to take more biology specific classes, especially courses like mammalogy, herpetology, and those courses where I can go out into the field. And the MEB major provides that avenue to get a lot of the experiences from those types of classes. And so I decided to add on MEB just so I can take more of those classes and develop more of that field research experience. And adding on GIS, I was able to just get more experience using geographic information systems and mapping in order to add on to my interest in field research and field biology as well. And one of the most important things to consider for adding on majors or minors is definitely careful planning. It's really, really important to just make sure you go through the snapshots, plan each of your semesters. I always have like my Excel sheet where I can look at each of the requirements that I'm fulfilling with the classes I'm taking, just to make sure I'm staying on track. And it helps me organize all of my classes to make sure that I fulfill all the requirements for that. So definitely important to stay organized and up to date on all of those requirements.
So I joined Berkeley as an MEB major, and then I recently added on math and psych. So that's in the College of Letters and Sciences. So it's a simultaneous degree. And I think like Isaac, I have my 4-year plan Excel sheet. I mapped out everything, and an advice I would give would be to really be good with time management. It is a lot, especially like double majoring or pursuing a simultaneous degree. For LNS and CNR, you have different breadth requirements to fulfill. So MEB only has 2 breadths, but for LNS, you have to do the 7-course breadth. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Great, thank you so much. So looking at time, we have about 8 minutes left, so we're not going to have time to answer all of the great, wonderful questions that we have. But Leleña, I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about kind of the coursework related to MEB, if they are all courses that are specific to MEB, or do they overlap with other Rausser major courses? And also a couple questions about fulfilling breadth and core requirements about studying abroad.
Okay. So MEB specific courses. Not really. So for the MEB major, there isn't a single upper division course that every student takes. It's very flexible. So we have the 3 areas, A, B, and concentration, and there is a list of possible courses that can be taken to fulfill those requirements. There are some common ones that many students take. Sometimes they're more common to the kinds of fields they want to go into. So for example, students who are more into research or wanting to do kind of outdoor lab things, the herpetology, the mammalogy, some of the outdoor spider biology, super popular class. Everybody loves that class. So those are some really, Morea program that Tina mentioned are some of the common ones that students take there. Pre-health or pre-med is not a major. It is a set of requirements that are that professional schools would would like you to have as you apply. So, but there are very common ones that overlap with our major requirements. So biochemistry, which is a requirement, is also an area A, that kind of thing. So, so there are definitely some common ones that my pre-vet students all take, and there are definitely some ones that my pre-med students all take. But no specific course other than the lower division courses that are often outside of the major: biology, chemistry, math, physics. What was the other question? Breadth, lower division, and study abroad, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, studying abroad, students can fulfill breadth requirements is a common one if they study abroad earlier. Generally, students in the major tend to participate in study abroad in their junior or senior year. It's usually really easy to incorporate study abroad into this major, either because you can kind of move your requirements around and either just have a semester abroad where you're not doing any MEB requirements, or because we have a way for you to petition to have courses taken abroad count towards the major. Up to 2 courses taken abroad can count towards the major. And I've had my students have been very successful in petitioning for that, because we really want to encourage people to go to abroad, and we really want to encourage people to do research. We try as much as possible to incorporate that into this major.
Awesome, thank you. Here's kind of a student life question for the PALs. Are there hundreds of students in some of the lower division classes? And will I find a place to sit? So if y'all could talk about some of your experiences in the larger lecture courses, that would be great.
That's a very good question, and something I was worried about as an incoming freshman. But it's actually really easy to find a seat. I normally show up pre-Berkeley time, and they open up the lecture, and then I sit in the front because I'm that person. And so that's really great, and you can meet friends when you sit in the front. And then, did I answer all the questions? Yeah, there are a couple hundred, but it's not as bad as the CS department, which has over 1,000 people.
Awesome, thank you. Here's a question that I love. How do you become a PAL?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I started being a peer advisor last semester. So this has been my first year as a peer advisor. In the spring, at the end of the semester, applications usually open up, and there's an interview process as well. A really good advice is really just get to know your advisor, since if you become a PAL, you'll be working with them a lot, just to have a lot of information and reaching out to students as well. So just continue to meet with your advisor, get to know them, get to know the process with all the major requirements in CNR, and also just get to know the community, get involved, so that you have a really wide range of experiences that you can continue to share with other students as well. And that's usually how the process goes towards becoming a peer advisor in CNR.
Awesome. We have a couple questions about study abroad and if there's specific CNR and MEB programs. And I'm wondering, Tina, if you'd be willing to speak a little bit about Maria.
Yes, I'm super excited. Isaac's also, we're doing Maria together. So, so basically, Maria is a research field experience. You get to go to French Polynesia and conduct your own research. It's a 9-week program, and it fulfills your one of your Area B courses, an area of concentration course, and then an upper division lab course. I highly recommend it if you can fit it in your schedule. It's amazing. I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. And I think this might be our last or second to last question, but for I think all the panelists, what are some mental health programs or ways that students can de-stress at Rausser?
So for me, you got to be outside. You have to carve out time to focus on yourself and do things that make you happy. Um, there's that you can go outside, go for a walk, get some sunlight, water some plants, drink some more water, whatever it may be. There's also the Tang Center. And so we have those services there that if you do want to talk to someone, there's also actually a like drop-in that's a student through our virtual front desk. And this semester they're there like on Wednesdays. Hopefully that will like carry on. And so they'll always have also a student who's there who you can talk to. And then they can also guide you in any direction that they feel is like appropriate. But yeah, main thing is carve out time for yourself and be intentional with that time to take care of yourself.
Awesome, amazing. I think that is kind of wrapping up our session. We're at 4:50. It went fast. Feel free to get in touch with us if there were any questions that were not answered. I know we didn't get to everyone's questions, so apologies. They were great questions, so thank you so much for submitting them. Craig's going to post our contact info and a couple more links in the chat. And I just want to say thank you to all the audience members and admitted students who showed up and joined us today. And also a very special thank you to the panelists, especially the PALs, for sharing your student experience with us today. So we hope to see you at UC Berkeley and at Rausser College next fall. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.